Hi, I'm Eric Brown, and this is my electronic security troubleshooting system. A lot of people work in buildings that have access control systems, but their knowledge is limited to I have an access card, I put it up to the card reader, and the door unlocks. So when you get to work and try to use it like you do every day, but the door doesn't unlock, it's understandable not to know what to do. I'd like to do this without too much jargon, but my system is intended to be used by technicians who have some basic understanding of troubleshooting, the tools required, and the function of an access control system. So I'm going to try and explain a little bit of the basics. So you have a card reader. When you present your card, that information goes to the reader interface board. That communicates with the controller board, which talks to the server. So when you use your card, that information goes back to the server, which is storing a database and all the software. So if it sees that you do have access to the door, it provides voltage to the electric strike, which opens the door for you. I designed my system based on about 8 years of working as an electronic security technician. I structured it based on the logical order information should be collected to solve a problem. 90% of my service calls start with one of the doors isn't working, or none of my doors are working. So I started there. I get calls from some of the newer technicians in my company, and after walking through a few steps with them, I find out they didn't check something fairly basic. I designed the system with them in mind to reinforce the gathering of information and give them some helpful tips. There are a lot of companies using access control systems, but most of them are fundamentally similar. Often they just use different terminology. So this tool could be used for new technicians of almost any access control service company, or experienced technicians who get stumped. While I was building this system, I realized quickly that a few steps leads to a lot of outcomes. I had planned to make this a lot more extensive, but I had to limit it to just access control and just the really most common things that I see. So here's the beginning of the troubleshooter. I'm just going to go with a basic thing that I see pretty often. One of my doors isn't working. So you put in one or two doors. It asks you if they're powered on. If you look at the reader, you'll see a light, yes. And then ask how many people can't get through. In this case, nobody can. Is the reader showing online in the monitoring application? In this case, yes. So then if you test the card, you can see what kind of message comes up in the monitor. In this case, it says access granted, but the door isn't used. So that means there's probably a hardware issue. So check the door, see what kind of locking hardware. Measure the voltage at the door. In this case, nothing happens when you unlock it. So if there's no power at the door, check the power supply. So if there's power coming off the power supply, but it's not getting to the door, then the relay must be not working properly. So since the relay's gone bad, it needs a new interface board. Since those aren't something that most people keep on hand, it'd have to be ordered, so I put a little tip in there just to get the door working while you wait for the part. Because of how specialized this tool is, I don't think I'd call it disruptive, but it could be very helpful. In its current form, the system is really just meant to push technicians in the right direction, not make them irrelevant. Troubleshooting tools are not exactly new, as I'm sure most Windows users know, but if tools like this are made for many specialized industries, making a lot of people's jobs easier or helping them in on-the-job training, I could see it making a positive disruptive impact. Thank you for your time.